Hi, hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Becky and this is Hobby Along. Now this is a really weird introduction for me and I'm really sorry, but I'll tell you for why. A couple of things have happened recently, kind of just before my last video aired and including my last video because hi everyone, I don't know what happened to my last video, but at this moment in time I think there's 6,000 views. Probably more by the time this one actually goes live on that video, which is mind-blowing to me. Hi to the new subscribers. You're probably thinking, why aren't you showing your face? And everyone else is probably thinking, why are you not showing your face? Well, the day before that last video aired, I decided to take a bit of a trip and my face abruptly met the concrete and I have a nice gash across my nose that required 7 stitches. So I'm a little bit camera shy at the moment. This is a bit of a weird time for me, both processing the mutilation of my face that I thought I'd spare you guys at least watching this week, and also seeing my channel reach a fair few more people. So let's talk about this week's project and why are you looking at this wonderful B-roll footage, sorry for the poor quality, of what was the Liberties 150th anniversary exhibition that has now been packed up and shipped to Japan, I believe. This was actually mine and my husband's anniversary weekend. We arrived on the last day of the exhibition, so I dragged him there immediately because I had to see it because I love Liberties. I also dragged him back the next day where of course I bought some Liberty fabric. I do have a bit of an obsession, I absolutely love it, and so this week I am making a couple of different Liberty dresses for you to watch. So without further ado, let's get into that creating process. Hi, happy Sunday. This genius forgot to put her phone on charge last night, and yes, I film everything on my phone. I do not have a special camera or anything. So I've just been sat here hand prepping. I like to hand prep darts and that kind of thing. I feel like the more prep you put in, the cleaner the garment's going to come out, and I'm used to using fabrics like satin and velvet and that kind of thing, but you really do need to hand baste those seams. Pinning it just isn't good enough. This one is a cotton, so I, in theory, don't need to do that, but it's a very, very busy, lovely Liberty print. I love Liberty London. It's just such my vibe. I love Art Nouveau. I love the William Morris prints that they do. I love some of the other prints that they do as well. I love Liberty. My glasses are Liberty. Big fan. But it is expensive. There's no way around it. You're talking, I think the fabric is around £27 a metre. And it's not even like the normal 60 inches wide or 150 centimetres wide. It is 135. So you do need a bit more fabric than usual. So because of that, I take extra care. Last night I cut it out and I ironed the fabric before I cut it. I don't always do that, and I ironed it on the fold. So I had the centre back going down the centre back. You can kind of see that fold going down the centre of that pattern. And I thought I'd lined it up really well. I thought I did really great. This is why I need a blooming table, because crawling around on the floor I obviously hadn't. And I'm now pinning the skirt fronts together. It's not going to be pattern matched. I'll point that one out because the seams are on a diagonal, but this one, more so than the last version I did of this dress, have like stripes going through. You can see there's like a yellow stripe, not like stripes, but like visually from a distance there's like purple and yellow stripes. So I want them to line up so they're not like jarring, because it would be so noticeable if they're not lined up, but if they're lined up you won't notice it at all. So it's a lot of work for something you're not meant to notice. And yeah, it shifted. It's not lined up. And actually I remember when I did the last one, I don't think they were lined up, and I just sacrificed some of the hem length and just kind of shifted it. I only needed 4, but I bought it when it was 20% off. I was like, well, I was already going to spend 120 on it, or whatever that number was. I'm gonna buy 5 and still spend 120 on it. I know that sounds expensive, and yeah, it's still cheaper than if you were going to buy a designer made to measure dress. That's the way I look at it. You can't really compare it to high street clothing. If you want to compare it to high street clothing, then you really should be going into like dead stock. And you've got to remember, people are being exploited to make clothing that cheap, just full stop. And to be honest, it's not even a case of like people aren't being exploited in designer clothes. A lot are. So it's really, really hard to shop and buy and be ethical and sustainable. Secondhand, Technically, maybe the garment was originally made by exploiting, but you know, no more people have been exploited. So if you want to be the most ethical, most sustainable, you buy secondhand. I am just lining up the stripes. They're not really stripes, like I said. I'm hand basting these seams, and then I'll go and sew them on my machine. I'm not buying any more thread. It's like I'm taking all this care, but I have some purple thread and I have yellow thread, which both go with this. Like the purple is more like this kind of berry purple, but either way, I'm not going to buy more thread if I don't need to, and these do coordinate. So, and I remember when I did the blue one, I actually top stitched in red because the strawberries were in red, and it was easier to do that than it was to try and match one of the blues. Maybe I'll do yellow, maybe I'll do purple. We'll see. Harry's at a Comic-Con today, so I've got the house to myself, so I can do what I like. Check back in when I'm on the machine.
You can't really see it, but there's like bright green tacking stitches through there.
Now everything kind of lines up across there. Do I want to do the easy long seams first, or do I want to do the darts and get them out of the way? I've edited this pattern. It's actually the second time I've made it. The first time, because my bust is not a B cup, and that's what most patterns are for, so I needed to adjust the bust on this. And I've never really done full bust adjustments. I think that's why I particularly like the Vogue multiple bust cup patterns, because they've done the work for me. And like, I'm not that far off like the standard B cup. In Vogue, I'm a C cup, but they base that off your fullness and your uppers, so not your under. Like bra size, I'm like a 32E. So again, you have to measure and go by what the pattern says. But the last time I made this, I saw the line of lengthen and shorten here, and I thought, you know what, that's the easiest way to do it. So I lengthened both pieces, back and front, by 2.5 inches, because that's what I measured that I needed an extra bit of fullness for my bust. I only know that because I wrote it in pencil on the pattern pieces. And then I finished it, put it on, and it didn't sit right. It did. Those deep V's, I love the look of them. It's just when you are a bit more booby, they don't really work. So I ended up fussing and messing around with it, like faffing to get it to cross over a little bit at the front and lay nicer. I also then took out some of that length that I added. Yeah, because I took out so much of that length, I decided to not extend the back at all, but obviously I still need that fullness going over the bust. So I slashed the front pattern piece along that length and shorten line here. So yeah, this is the normal pattern piece, and I needed my 2.5 inches that I wrote here. So I've slashed it along that length and shorten line, and I separated it like this. But then obviously this line, if you were to carry it on, extends out past that, and I did that because I do want to have a little crossover in the front. And then I marked where these darts would have been, and then obviously they would angle slightly differently. And I've held it up to myself, and it looks like it's kind of going to work. I might still have to futz around with it a little bit, but we will see once it's sewn together. Hopefully it'll be better than the last one. I'm not looking for perfect, but you know, if this was the method, then that would be great. Never backstitch on a dart at the point. You want to take out extra thread, and then with those two, you don't need that much, with those two bits, tie them together, and that'll give you a nice point on the dart. So we'll need to go through and take out those basting stitches, but now I've got a nice clean dart that I need to press. You always start from the more open end and go towards it. No one likes doing darts from my experience, but people seem to make too much of a fuss. They're not actually that difficult. They're just, especially these straight triangular style darts, I think the ones that are the most annoying are like curved darts, which are a feature of one of my favourite patterns. But it looks so good. After I got the darts in, I decided to do the front centre seam and the back centre seam, so I only had one skirt front and one skirt back. Then I did the shoulder seams and the side seams on the bodice. Lastly, I made the ties before I could move on to those side seams on the skirt. I feel like I'm being really sluggish and slow, but I don't think I am. Just my brain's saying I could go faster. Okay, so I've done the ties, threaded them through, ironed them, and I want them to be seamed down, and I want birds up. This is the back piece, and they're going to tie on. So I think they're just going to be 5/8 of an inch down, I'm not going to lie. Now I cut these with the fabric back to back, and it's actually worked out that they kind of line up, so I'm happy with that. I think in theory the ties should have been cut the other way. That's just such a waste of fabric, and I had enough in the other direction by the side of one of these skirt panels to cut it this way. And you know what, once it hangs down, it's right, like I think it's fine because it knots up. It doesn't matter which direction it is. So that's technically on the cross grain. More of probably a crime is the pockets. Now these are side seam pockets, like, or bag pockets. They're going in the side seams. You will not see these. And I tested it on my other dress as well, like I saw it. I cut the pockets correctly on that one, but you cannot see inside the pockets. Now, sometimes pockets are the thing that you can do in a different fabric. I personally don't have any light coloured fabric that wouldn't show through, or like good tone at least. So I have done it out of the same fabric, but I've cut it deliberately upside down. I don't know if you can tell on camera at all, because it is quite busy, and that's kind of what I'm relying on, the fact that it is so busy and it's the same colour or whatever. You're just not going to notice. Now one of them is actually properly on the grain line and the other one was slightly off, because I think this is the slightly off one, because I didn't want to waste fabric, so I just kind of squeezed it into an area. So I am going to split the pairs and match up opposites, so at least one side of the bag pocket is on the correct grain. Now it's a case of adding these. I'm not doing French seams on this, I didn't do it on the last one. I'm going to split the seams and stitch them, and wherever that doesn't make sense, so around the bag pocket, I probably will just double stitch it. My brain's been a little bit funny getting further with this dress, even though it was still the same day. It's not like it's taking me hours.
What is that mysterious ticking noise?
I think it's because I wasn't sure that my alteration was going to work. Now, lengthwise, perfect. This bottom band is sitting where I want it. However, a little gapey here. I could stitch together, but then I'm going to have like a little bit of fabric bunching, so I just need to butts around with this. So what I'm going to do, because this is only basted on, I'm going to unpick this whole front thing. I'm going to bind this edge because I don't think that's terrible, like I think I can work with it. And then I might put it on inside out and start pinning it, and maybe even hand tacking it on me to get this laying nicer. I may have to put in a little dart. I hopefully won't have to put in a little dart, but yeah, just trying to get that laying nicer, and then I might tack it around there as well. It's going to be a little bit less because I haven't bound the edge, but not too revealing. But yeah, it looks like my adjustment works mostly. It's just how it attaches here, and mostly the issue is this kind of points up in the centre. Now if it was a flat waistband, that would have been an issue. I accidentally managed to kind of line them up on the sides. I wasn't trying to do that, so overall really happy with how this is going. I have no idea what time it is, mid-afternoon, so I wonder if I will actually finish this today. What is that? I'm also just going to go find out what that weird sound is. Joys of living in an apartment.
I found the source of the ticking! It's a pipe bomb! Yay!
Jokes aside, I never actually did find out what that weird noise was. Here I'm just assembling the sleeves, then the cuffs, then attaching the cuffs to the sleeves, and then the sleeves to the dress. And finally finishing up with a hem round the bottom.
Be able to guess that by the weight of my clothing, it's a very different temperature outside from when this video started. I did that first dress just before Easter, and this is a fair bit fair bit later, my sister has a fantastic little trick to prevent one from impulse buying. And that is, if you want something, if you still want it by your next payday, then you really want it. So that's when you buy it. So don't buy it immediately, wait till your next payday and then get it. Well, remember I said Liberty fabric was expensive? Or if there's one thing I love as much as Liberty and Disney, let's face it, it's Peanuts, as in Snoopy. Frickin' love Snoopy. When I discovered, and now I actually cannot remember how I discovered it, but when I discovered Peanuts and Liberty London did a collaboration, I needed that fabric. One issue. It's only available in Japan. 2 meters of this fabric, including shipping and import costs, was over £100, which is insane. I understand. But I waited till the next payday. In fact, I waited 2 paydays and I really, really wanted it. So I got it. But look at it, look at the little Snoopies and the little Woodstock. Absolutely love it. Have been excited to make this ever since I ordered it. But like I said, it was coming from Japan. So I knew there was gonna be some time and then it got lost. The first parcel got lost. But the Etsy shop were incredible. They were so helpful. It was funny because I messaged them, I don't know when I messaged them, but I messaged them and I was aware Japan has a very different time zone and I wasn't expecting a reply, but I got a reply pretty much immediately, like within an hour, and they were like, oh, we will look into it, we need to contact the post office, we will solve this, and if we can't find your parcel, we'll send out another one really soon. But it's nighttime here, so it will be a couple of days. It's like, sleep, like you don't have to talk to me right now. But yeah, so it's finally arrived. It's now July. I could barely justify 2 meters, let alone get any more. So the design is very much dictated by this fabric. It's as expensive as a lame fabric that I got for this dress with my hidden Mickey, and that was again $50 a meter. Actually no, it was $60 a yard, and I got it on sale. It was 20% off, I think. So I think I remember it being $50 a yard when I actually bought it, but it was originally slightly more, and that dictates what dress pattern I can use, because you can absolutely make a dress out of 2 meters, but it's a bit less, it's not quite my usual dress. But we are going Vogue again, because I actually bought this pattern because I love a jumpsuit. I've not made this jumpsuit yet, but I have made this dress, and lo and behold, this only takes 2 meters of 60-inch fabric. This isn't quite 60-inch. Like I said, Liberty fabrics are 135 centimeters wide. I don't know what that is in inches. 60 inches is 150. So it's between your 45-inch and 60-inch width. I'm gonna have to be very careful when I cut this out to make sure I have enough. And I do want to line it. I didn't really think about that ahead of time, so I didn't buy lining fabric. I was like, you know what, I'll go through my stash. There's got to be something. Turns out I don't buy plain fabric enough, which I know, I like patterned fabric. Why would I buy plain? I can buy plain clothes in the shop. I did actually go into Hobbycraft to try and find some plain like lining fabric. They didn't have any, but I did go to Asda tonight and picked up a couple of pillowcases in navy, because this is navy, so this will line this very nicely. Because I feel the pressure, I'm probably not going to film myself cutting it out. It's also not exactly interesting to watch, but I'll be back in a little bit. I bit my tongue really hard today, so if I sound a bit weird, that's why. So this pattern does have pockets, and if it didn't, I was going to add them in. I did debate about it a little bit because I have a Snoopy handbag, and realistically, whenever I wear this dress, I'm going to use the Snoopy handbag. But there are times where obviously I'm going to be in my house and I'm wearing the dress and I don't want to carry my bag. I just want to have my pocket in my pocket in my pocket. My phone in my pocket. So I am putting pockets in. I think I thought this pattern didn't have pockets because the last one I made of this, so the only time I've used this pattern actually, I didn't add pockets. Shock horror, I know. Because I made it out of the rainbow lame fabric, which phrase like, oh yeah, no. So I didn't want to do like the French seam pockety situation there because it's also really thick and yeah, just didn't want to do it. I regret that because I wear that one to Disney and I need a pocket for my phone. That was a bad choice. I won't change it now. What I'll do, aim for that, would be just to buy some like cycle shorts with like the little athletic phone pocket in the leg. That's what I do, and wear those under the dress, because I always wear shorts under my dresses at Disney because I go on rides. I'm not just wearing pretty dresses, I do wear shorts under them. I didn't want to waste any of the Snoopy fabric. I did have enough to cut like back pocket, so when you flash it open, but like I said, don't want to waste any of this fabric. The lining pieces out of the navy pillowcase, and I did all the pocket pieces out the navy. If it peeks out, it's fine.
Princess seams, so none of those awkward darts, so we could get straight to assembling the front bodice and the 2 back bodice halves, and repeat that with the lining fabric. And then you end up with these 2, I don't even know what shape to call it, these 2 complete bodices, but they're open at the side seam. And then you put them right sides together, aligning all those seams, pin it around the neck and armholes, and then you sew them. Off camera, I've understitched that neckline and the armholes, and then pinned the side seams, and you stitch the side seam all in one go. And that is your completed bodice, ready to attach the skirt and the zip, etc.
After a very sunny week, it's a bit of a grey, wet day. Actually, why my hair's a bit weird because we went for a walk. Had a bit of a lazy start this morning. We went to, there's a little antique centre not too far from us, and we just had a couple of things that we were like, we don't really need this anymore. We didn't want it or whatever. So we took that to see if we could sell it, and we did, so that was good. And then whilst we were in one of the little antique toy shops, we found Snoopy. So I had to show you, just because if it was relevant to this video. Bodice is done, it's been hanging up. I'm pointing it up there because it's up there, I don't know, but you can't see it, so I don't know why I'm doing that. But it's done. So now we can move on to the skirt. And I've decided I'm going to French seam the side seams and the back seam, because that's where the zip is going to go in. I'm just going to split the seam because it's just easier. There is like a correct way of doing French seams on pockets. I won't be doing that. I like to do it my way, which is a little bit of a cheat, where you attach the pockets as it says in the instructions, and then you treat it exactly the same as you would normal French seams, so you wrong side to wrong side. So I also don't add extra seam allowance. I know a lot of people do. I don't see the point. So I do a 2/8 of an inch seam and then a 3/8 of an inch seam. Most patterns are 5/8 of an inch, so it's still the normal seam. Now it's a case of attaching and gathering the skirt to the bodice. So we want to do right sides to right sides, and the easiest way for me is kind of turning this upside down, stuffing it in the holes, and then you're matching your notches, your side seams, vibes, I don't know, everything else. Actually, what would have been good is to mark the centre as well. There's quite a bit of gathering on this, so it should be quite easy. But like I said, the last time I did this, I did it out of a lame, and I remember I had to hand gather that because it was thick. I had to do a hand running stitch and then pull that. And you can do that, you can do it here if you want, it's just not going to be as even. But because the lame is such a thick fabric, it did not matter. Whereas this is a very light shirting cotton. So machine is absolutely the easiest option. If you're doing a thick fabric, I found this out way after, if I'd known about it I might have tried it at the time, but you can get like a thicker thread, like embroidery floss almost, and then what you can do on the machine is do like a zigzag stitch that goes over the embroidery thread. So you're going to have the embroidery thread running along the top, that's going to be the gathering line, but have the zigzag stitch alternating, and it doesn't go through the thread, it goes over it, and then you can pull, and that is apparently a way to make it more even when it's thick. But I didn't know that then, so I just did a hand running stitch and it worked. Stuffing the top inside the skirt. Now it's really important that the lining is still detached, and you don't want to catch that in this next row of stitching, which is going to go back down to a 2 now. Yeah, pinning right sides to right sides, and when I pin I'm making sure I'm not going through those threads, because like that area is going to be gathered down to that. The issue is the pocket's still got to be hanging in the breeze right now. We will stitch it towards the front later. So the pattern does say to sew the skirt into a tube first. It does tell you to do that before you add the pockets on, but I must admit I can't help but think maybe at this it would have been easier to not do that, instead leave it as one wide panel and then gathered it to that waist and then sewn and put the zip in. That makes more sense to me, pulling them and it's gathering up. You can over gather and then pull out again. That is, you can over gather and then even them out afterwards. Oh shit, one of my, oh, gather the middle, sew it, gather the side, sew it, gather the other side, sew it. It's not usually how I do it, but when life gives you a broken gathering thread. This is the first half of the front panel, so quarter of the way gathered. And you know what, it's so tightly gathered it doesn't actually notice in my eye. I mean, that kind of looks like on camera that it's a bigger spot, but it's not really. I don't care, it's good enough and I'm going to carry on. I'm not going to film it because I think I'm going to swear about it, so I'll catch up when I've attached the skirt. I thought I'd do a quick try on. This is before the zip's in, so I won't turn around. It looks like it's going to fit really quite nicely. I'm really quite happy with this. It's why I like Vogue patterns. They fit me well. They obviously won't fit everybody well, it's just my body seems to be the standard kind of body for a Vogue pattern. This is a size 14 in Vogue, and yeah, I didn't have to do any adjustments and I'm really quite happy with the fit. The only thing I probably should have done, but I didn't because I was worried about how much fabric I had, is I probably should have lengthened the skirt a little bit, because I think this is actually where the pattern is aiming to hit. So sheer mini dress, because I've got to hem this a little bit shorter, won't actually look too bad. Yeah, I don't know, I still haven't decided if I'm going to hand hem, which will require me to iron it and fold it under, so it's going to be slightly shorter, or machine it where I can use my rolled foot and I'll only lose like the minimal amount on the length there. I'm hoping once it's actually like fastened, the neckline's not going to keep choking me. It's not actually that high, I think it is just a case that it's not fastened right now, but it does kind of ride up. I think it should be like there, which is a nice height. I quite like the fact that this one's a bit more covered. I was also trying it on because you can see if I pull it out, it's not like see-through, but the light is obviously coming through it from the back. I don't usually line Liberty fabric, even the lighter ones, but obviously I've lined the top, so I was like, are you going to see like dark and then light? But I don't think you can, not even on camera. So you don't need to add a lining layer on the skirt, which now would be the time before I insert the zip and tack down the lining.
I decided to commit to invisible stitching that hem the proper way, some might say. Have anything left to say, no notes really. I just love them and have worn these dresses a bunch already, and Liberty's continues to be one of my favourite producers of fabric, and I can't see that changing anytime soon. If you get the chance to pop round Liberty's haberdashery, it is quite amazing in my personal opinion. I absolutely love it there. It is my happy place. And it was kind of needed after my accident, and I can't wait to be creative again. It's not just my face that I hurt my knees, I hurt my hands, I hurt my shoulder. I really did take a tumble, so I haven't really been that creative the past couple of weeks, and I am looking forward to getting stitching again, but not my skin this time. So if you enjoyed this video, I upload roughly every 3 weeks, so come again and hobby along with me. Bye!
The little bumblebee. He's got big You say he's got big pollen sacs.
Yeah.